Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Let's learn together. So, today we will be solving the activity 8.2.1 of English book of class 9. So, let's see what this activity talks about. Let's read the poem and explore how a poet uses his imagination to write a poem. That means, look, here a poem has been given. The name of this poem is If I Had But Two Little Wings, and it's written by St. Coleridge. He is the poet of this poem. Now, he has basically used his sense of imagination to write this poem, and we have to read this poem and we have to basically determine that what kind of imaginations, what type of thoughts, what sort of visualizations he basically used to write this poem. And by determining those, we have to answer these four questions. Okay, so let's read the poem at first. If I had but two little wings, if I had but two little wings and were a little feathery bird, to you I would fly, my dear. Look, this part of the poem, after reading this, you can understand that the poet is expressing a wish of his mind that if he had feathers like a bird, then he would fly to someone whom he is calling as my dear. That means he has a dear one, a close person to whom he wants to go to, but it's not really possible to go there in real life. So he's saying that if he had feathers, then he would fly to that person like a bird. Okay, probably that person like has died or lives far away, which it has not been cleared up in this poem. But anyway, so it's a case that he cannot go directly to that person, so he really wants to go to that person to see that person who is his dear one. If he like and that's why he really wants to have feathers like a bird, I mean wings like a bird. But thoughts like these are idle things, and I stay here. That means, even though he has these sort of thoughts and imaginations that if he had wings, like these sort of wishes, but still there's nothing to do because these wishes cannot come true, right? He thinks that these thoughts are just idle things, and he stays there. I mean, in reality, he cannot do that, so he just stays in the bitter reality. But in my sleep, to you I fly. I'm always with you in my sleep. That means when he sleeps. Here, sleep basically means that when he is in, like, deeply in his imagination, that time he always flies to that dear one by his two wings. He imagines that he has two wings during his imagination, and at that time he flies to that person. So like being in a state of deep imagination has been meant by sleep in this part of the poem. The world is all one's own, and then one wakes, and where am I? All alone. That means that when he is in sleep, that time he flies. I mean, when he's in sleep or when he is dived in a deep imagination, that time he imagines that he has two wings and he flies to his dear one with that wings. But however, when he wakes up into the reality, when he gets out of that imagination, he finds himself all alone, right? So that's all that has been written in this poem. I will definitely provide you the summary of this poem so it will be more clear for you to understand the meaning. And look, in this picture you can see that the person, he's sleeping, so he's in a state of deep imagination, and this is him flying to his dear one. This looks like a sky, so probably that person has died, or well, that I'm not sure about it, but it seems like that person is no more, so it's not possible to visit that person in reality. That's why he wants to fly and visit that person. Anyway, so now we can definitely answer the questions, but before that we will go and have a look in the summary. All right, so as you can see, here is the summary of this poem. The poem If I Had But Two Little Wings by St. Coleridge expresses the poet's longing to be with someone he cares deeply about. He imagines himself as a small bird with wings, which would allow him to fly to his dear one. However, he acknowledges that these are just idle thoughts because in reality, he cannot be with them. In his dreams, though he feels close to them, but when he wakes up, he is alone again. The poem reflects the contrast between dreams and reality. All right. So I think that the meaning of this whole poem is clear to you. This summary basically explains it all. You can have a look at the summary. All right. I hope that you have understood the whole point. And now, look, four questions have been given here, and we have to answer it by the help of the poem, right? The first question is: have you found any imaginary character in the poem? If yes, what is that? Look, in this poem, the imaginary character is the poet himself. Like when he imagines himself in his dream, being like having wings, flying like a bird. So, in that imagination, the poet with wings, that he is basically the imaginary character in the poem. Then, what would the poet do in his imagination? That means, as we have read, that in the imagination, he would think that, I mean, he would have wings like a bird and then he would fly to his dear ones. Then, what do the words sleep and wake in the poem symbolize? That means, look, we know that we have read in the poem that the word sleep, it basically symbolizes the fact of being in deep imagination, imagining something very deeply, and wake means coming back to reality. Okay. Sleep, you can say dreaming about something. Okay, it's like a delusion, and waking up symbolizes the fact of coming back into reality. The number four, do you think the use of imagery helps the readers to understand the poet's imagination? All right, that means the imagination of the poet that has been given in the poem, like he um, imagines himself to become a bird and then fly to his dear ones. The way he has described the whole scenario in the poem, it has helped us to visualize the scene clearly in our minds, and so we like could understand the poet's thoughts and poet's imaginations more clearly. Right. So now we can see the answers to these questions. All right, you can have a look at this, that the answers to all these four questions have been given. Have you found any imaginary character in the poem? If yes, what is that? Yes, the imaginary character in the poem is the poet imagining himself as a little feathery bird with two wings. What would the poet do in his imagination? In his imagination, the poet would fly to his dear one if he had two little wings like a bird. What do the words sleep and wake in the poem symbolize? Sleep symbolizes the poet's dream or imagination where he can be with his loved one. However, wake symbolizes reality where he is alone and cannot reach them. Do you think the use of imagery helps the readers to understand the poet's imagination? Yes, the use of imagery, like imagining himself as a bird with wings, helps readers visualize the poet's longing and the contrast between his dreams and reality. It makes the feelings in the poem more vivid and relatable. All right, so I think that the answers, as these answers are very simplified, so you can understand them well, and you can pick them up, or you can take screenshots, or you can simply read them and combine your own thoughts with these answers and ultimately make a really nice answer. Okay, so I think you have had your fair share of look in this in these answers. Okay, so that's all for today's video. I hope you found this video informative. And if that is so, then please like, share, and subscribe. And if you need any sort of improvements in these videos, then let me know in the comment section. For today, goodbye. We will meet in the next video.